think on the classwork, I did not ask you to name these, but I am going to ask you to name them in your notes. And if you do name them, it's just good practice for you. And I will check them if you do it that way for me. Now, I'm going to label the parallel a couple of different ways that you'll see. I'm just going to use 2 lines. I'm going to do those as my parallel lines. Now, do you remember when we did lesson 10, parallel lines can be shown with those little arrows, not these arrows, but the other little arrows. And sometimes you remember we talked about doing them like this. I mean, you could just put arrows. I'll show you a couple different ways that I do it. You don't necessarily have to do it that way, but just long as you show that they're parallel. It's just not very much to scale, because 92 is going to be a little bit more. It's an obtuse one. It's a little bit more than 90, but that's a little bit bigger obtuse, but it's okay. Now, I heard yesterday that we are giving the ACT to high school students, and I'll say it that way because I want to know where y'all fit into this in October, since we didn't get to do it in March. Now, have y'all gotten emails that you're taking the pre-ACT, or are you taking the ACT? Do you know, or have you gotten any emails? Now, y'all should have gotten, sophomores should have gotten that email that we're taking the ACT sometime in October. Do y'all know? Nobody knows? Okay, I'll see what I can find out. Aren't you a sophomore? Okay. I think he's the only one. Is that right? Okay. You're a sophomore?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't know that. I did not know that. The rest of you are freshmen. I learn something new every day. You never know. Okay. And this, even though I may not have asked for it in classwork, what kind of angles are these? Do you need to look at lesson 10? Flip back over and tell me which pair of angles they are. Okay. And I'm going to use something here. I'm going to do it like this. The first thing, and I think yesterday's class, I may have given them a hint, and I said, look where they are. So you could go ahead and write the interior down. And then if it's interior, it can only be one of 2 things. They can be on the same side, consecutive, or they can be alternating, one on one side, one on the other. We have to know that because what's the arithmetic here? What do we know about consecutive interior? What did we say on our cutout on page 28? Consecutive interior or what? Supplementary. So x plus 92 equals 180. Now you could have just said 180 minus 92. I wrote it as an equation because the other 2 are going to be equations. And when you subtract the 92, I believe you get 88. In this case, 88 degrees. When your x is mixed with other things, you can put degrees, you can put a degree. I don't really care on those. But if it's straightforward degrees, it's a good idea to do that. Number 2. Let's draw another one. And while I'm drawing, I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to do my transversal this way this time. And I don't necessarily draw them to scale. I just kind of draw one. Now this time I'm going to mark mine with 2 arrows. And sometimes I fill them in like that. And sometimes I just do them like this. This is parallel, obviously. And so you're just looking for the matchup. Let's put 80 degrees right here. And let's put 25x plus 5. And the book usually writes them, or the worksheets I use, usually write them like that. So you can put degrees on x. You don't have to, because it's kind of actually already got the degrees on it. Now, what kind are these? Look where they are. That'll get that interior, exterior. And then look where they are in relationships to the transversal. Are they on the same side, or are they across from each other? Alternate interior angles. Okay? And then, what do we know about them? Look at them. You've got an acute angle here, and you've got the other acute one over here. These 2, when lines are parallel, are always going to be the same. You can kind of walk through it. All 4 of these are going to match up with these down here. So if this one's 80, this one's 80. This one's 80, that one's 80 by vertical. And then those are going to match up either by alternate interior, or in that case, corresponding. But all 4 of these are going to match up down here. So I've got 25x plus 5 equals 80. Subtract your 5. 25x equals 75. Divide by the 25. x equals 3. And all your variables should come out even. Do this 2-line parallel again. And I'm going to draw my transversal like this. Okay, and I'll throw a little bit of a curveball at you. Not too bad. Okay, and they usually do it like that. Okay, that's a, oh, I guess I need to get on camera, don't I? There you go. That's a 9x plus 6. Kind of hard to read there. What relationship are they? That one might not be on lesson 10 because lesson 10 were the new pairs that tie these to these down here. So this might be one of those little hints up there at the top of your cutout over on page 28. What are they when they're a line that share the same vertex? A line is a linear pair. And y'all are like every geometry student I've ever known. Those, for some reason, we just, I don't know, sometimes it just doesn't quite stick. It's like we forget that they're there, and they're not hard ones. That one and the vertical angles too. So what do we know about a linear pair? That goes all the way back to lesson 3 or 4 maybe. They add up to 180 because we defined them as being supplementary, didn't we? So we've got 9x plus 6 plus 20x is equal to 180. I'm going to go ahead and do that where I'm going to put my like terms together. I just like to do that. 29x plus 6 equals 180. Subtract your 6. 29x, I'm sure I'm ahead of you, but I'll let you catch up. And I think it comes out exactly 6.